All right, man. You can kick it off.
Yeah, so I went to Tim's birthday party on Saturday, and he had he must have had like 40 people there.
Nice.
It was like a lot of fucking people.
Yeah,
At my 40th birthday, I'm gonna have four people, maybe, maybe.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, it was like 40 people. It was crazy.
Mr. Pop.
Um, yeah. Last night, I ended up fucking getting. I got too drunk last night at fucking trivia. Ugh.
Shocker.
And yeah, it's funny because like trivia's been like it's essentially my Friday night, so it's like the only time I ever go out is for trivia night, and then the rest are just like dates or whatever. And yeah, so it's like 2 hours, but I think I had like 5 or 6 beers in the 2 hours. So if I do that, I just felt like shit this morning. Versus if you have 6 beers over 8 hours, you feel fine the next day. You know.
Yeah, that math works. It's girl math.
That's not girl math. It's alcoholic math. So yeah, I literally have down like fucking. I'm gonna like, man, I have I wrote down so much shit, and then I wrote down a lot of shit. But well, let's just start off with this. Since we waited an extra 2 days to do this recording, it broke this morning with Shohei Otani's translator getting caught for either embezzling money or he's gambling money.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So
It was one of the
my
things I had to for just switching to one of my alternate topics. That's it.
yeah, so my question is on it is do you think this fucks him up mentally? Because Otani seems to be like well grounded and all this shit, and he likes, he's got his community and all this shit. And baseball's a mental sport. I mean, he's not pitching this year, but you think it will fuck him up mentally?
I think this is a bigger thing than what some people are letting on. Some people are already like talking baseball. Those guys, I like that podcast. They're already kind of on it a little bit, but I don't think this is a small thing. They got Shohei Otani's name on some of those wire transfer receipts, like not the interpreter guy. Like I think it's not, I don't want to, speak out of turn, but not impossible to think of a world where he was the setup guy. He's the fall guy. Like Shohei, it looks like Shohei was betting. It looks like that more than it looks like this guy was just doing it and stole his money. So I don't know. There's going to have to be like more of it that comes out. I think honestly, this is not going to go away. And this is like first of all, you can't get a visa if you have a felony. This is huge. This is huge. So,
Yeah,
or
but
I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
they can take it
athletes
away. They
get
can take it away, rather, I should say. They can take it away. But
yeah, but
it's big.
athletes get money stolen all. They get money stolen all the time because
Yeah, but I think he was
I mean,
betting, though. I think he was
betting on what?
sports. I think he was gambling. I think he was gambling.
Yeah, I don't know. I, because his name's on the account doesn't really mean anything because I doubt he doesn't.
Or maybe
I'm
even
sure
not even sports. It could have been
he would have
whatever
had someone
else.
else. He would have been having someone else pay for all the shit this whole time. I don't think he's. It's not like us.
No, I hear what you're saying, but it's like these transactions, like as far as I understand, there's a lot of smart people like very caught up on this whole idea that okay, but your name is on some of these wire transfers. Like you can't get around where you like now we're playing the whole didn't think it was legal, thought it was legal. I don't know, man. It
Well,
just
the
sounds
interpreter
like
said
it
that.
just I'm just saying it sounds like one of those little things that starts snowballing into a big old thing. And I hope it's has nothing to do with him or whatever, but fishy ass story. To me it sounds like this dude's gonna take the rap and maybe it stops there, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we don't have any information yet, really,
Yeah.
other than that. But again, the wire transfers. I mean, that's just a click of a
I'll
button.
just
That doesn't
I'll send you
really
the stuff
mean
that I was
anything.
looking at specifically earlier. Like I was on like I
Okay,
had a full day at work, but I saw
I'd
this
be
one.
interested to read it.
Yeah, no, it's not even an article. It's just one video. I had a full day at work, but I was on lunch. I did see this one
Uh,
thing that I thought was hella interesting. So it was just an Instagram post. I'll send it to you. That way you can check it
okay.
out.
Um,
Um.
yeah, we'll
Well,
see how this plays out. I mean, it's a pretty wild story, but I mean, all I do know is athletes and celebrities and all that shit. Like, they're not. They get stuff stolen from them all the time, you
yeah,
know.
but there's a
But
reason this is standing out though, and I think athletes and celebrities
well,
do
it's like
like gambling
$5 million,
stuff too.
you
Like
know.
they do gambling stuff too. Like there's some reason, John, I think why this is all coming out, which is what I think is it's a bigger thing than
Well,
what people think.
who was that football player? I think for Atlanta that was caught gambling.
Oh, wasn't it Calvin Ridley? He got
Oh
like the
yeah,
year
it was really.
suspension. Yeah.
And I think it was just on DraftKings, wasn't he?
I think he was injured and he was
Oh,
like
that's
at
right.
yeah, he was like maybe at the facility or something, but it
He
doesn't
just
matter. He ended up winning to be like terrible for Jacksonville.
he just yeah, he just got a crazy deal though with like
Oh,
Tennessee,
I
didn't he?
know. Well, that's because the NFL is an overpriced market. Like it's like I, I not as bad as like basketball. Like those guys get paid a lot for nothing, but we're seeing a lot of money get tossed around for like no reason.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah,
Maybe he'll be good. I don't know.
yeah,
He's one of those guys I like never played because one, he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars,
yeah.
which actually they did fine last year, but it just wasn't. It's the team's not set up like
They don't
it's
need
$6,200.
him to be good to win games. Like he could play into it. Like maybe on the like have a couple of catches on the last drive, but he's not like perennially getting 100-yard games or even coming close to it or even getting like 1,200 yards consistently. You know what I mean? Like if you need 700 yards and 50 catches, sure, sign him up.
Cool. We were talking about maybe it was 2 podcasts ago about like the 4 day, or maybe it was the first podcast about a 4 day week, work week. Did you see that Bernie introduced legislation for a 32-hour work week?
I did. That was my first thing to talk about. Hold on one second.
Wait, just copying all my stuff I wrote down on my legal pad? I literally have down. I have like 7 pages of legal pad stuff.
All right, I got my. Let me see my other things here. Okay. Yes, I did see that, and it was actually the first thing that I had written down to talk to you about. I first of all agree with this. Like you said, we were talking about it before. I think this is a good thing because on the highest sense of things, I think Americans are like maxed out. Like what I mean by that is we are the thing that makes this the place where everybody can steal all the wealth. All the businesses and everything, all that stuff works because we work as a people. Now, the thing though is society's at a breaking point. Like we are the most educated, most depressed like generation with the least amount of wealth. Like the things that they've been doing to us are catching up now is my point. And I'm not saying that to just be like blah blah blah. Listen, it's more of a if you want to keep the thing going, you have to do stuff for us. Like we're ridden into the ground. Our generation needs things so that we can be a part of the American economy because largely we're like at home with mom and dad, like working jobs to get by, like no savings, no house, no like student loans. We're for shit. So that's not something we did. That's something that happened to us, but we need to fix that now. There's a lot of things that we've been talking about that I specifically have been talking about with regards to, like universal income and stuff like that, giving people, even if it's artificial, the ability to get back into the economy and do what we need you to do, which is be a consumer, buy shit and spend. this plays into that. Like we work so hard. So the 4 day work week, I think, is great. 4 on, 3 off. It makes sense because not only do we need you to have excess income, but we need you to be able to spend it, go places, do trips, do stuff with your family. Like that's all going to be great for the economy if you have more time, energy, and money to do that. This helps that. And so you do need an extra day because let's face it, Americans are not going to sit at home. They're going to buy shit, whether you're buying it through your game system or you're out in public doing something or going on vacation. So we need to stimulate another day of here, go do stuff. So universal income, 3 days off. Like I think all this is the right stuff to get us from being maxed out as a resource to being able to be like, okay, now you guys can, it's a balance again. You can afford the things you have. You can afford the little extra so we can boost up the economy. I'm just sold, John, that is the thing that moves us forward with the least amount of financial harm. Am I wrong? Or what do you think?
Well, I'm for the free time. And people will spend more money. No,
like, do you think that's a true thing? Like, do we need that? Like, you think you buy that? Like, we need people to spend this money?
Well, yeah, our whole economy is based off consumption.
Yeah.
Remember after 9/11? Yeah, it must have been after 9/11 and George Bush. That was like their whole thing was like go out and shop. I think they did some kind of tax thing, or they gave everybody like $500 or whatever, so they go out and shop.
They literally were like, "No, it doesn't work."
To stir up the economy. Yeah, George Carlin used to have that great bit too. It was like that America's official pastime is consumption. Fuck baseball. It's consumption. So you go to a store and buy shoes with lights in them for 18% interest or something. And you didn't even like it. You didn't even like it when you got back home, anyways. But yeah, I mean, that's just capitalism, though. I mean, that's just what it is.
That's what I mean. More booms and busts, and so like we need to adapt, right? Like the system is having bigger crashes because that's what it's designed to do. So we need to adapt. Like that whole like 5 day, 40 hour thing, that was for like Ford and assembly line people. Like we're over. Like that's the same thing as being like.
And that was less work at the time. That was cutting edge. That was controversial at the time.
Right. But just like daylight savings, something that was needed before, don't need it now. We're not farmers. We're not factory workers.
Dude, back then, so like whatever, 1905, let's say. I mean, children were working 7 days a week.
Oh, no, I agree with you. They needed it. Like it was a huge regulation that cut into business. Business hated it because they were like, we're losing our child labor. It was a huge cut because they had to pay adults more than they could pay children. So it was a big thing, and they voted against it. It happened anyway. But
those stupid kids don't even know how to negotiate. So yeah,
I saw a meme that's like it's like a kid in 1998, and it's a baby, and it's like look at this baby, like like instead of napping, it should have been saving. Instead of wasting time in third grade, John, I should have been saving for a fucking mortgage.
Yeah. Speaking of mortgages, do you know what's going on with they're kind of the whole real estate realtor market's going to be upended. It looks like soon.
Oh yeah.
So if you're like buying and selling a house, like 6% goes to the agent, but it's just or the realtor, but there's like it splits and it creates this like crazy dynamic, and it should be like 1.8% or something. So it should be good for homeowners. But yeah, I think because Tim and his girlfriend have been looking to buy a house for like a year now.
Sure.
And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I think I have enough money to pay for 6 months of their property tax. Like so far away from fucking owning a house, it's not even funny.
It's not
think about owning a house.
It's not as difficult as you think on a first time buyer thing, dude. Like trust me, it's never been.
Have you seen my credit?
I don't think it's ever been easier to get a house. Actually, like you don't need literally as much down as you would probably think, and taxes included, like somebody can massage that for a decent mortgage now. Like it's doable. It's doable, especially if you don't live like here in California. It's very doable.
Oh yeah, but you also want to buy a place that you want to live in. Like it's not like
Yeah, if you don't care about that, like if you just want to live in a red state, like man, like imagine.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can just go out, move out. I mean, no, but they're buying a place in the city, so
No,
inventory is
I
just
know
going
what
to
you.
work
No, I
there,
know
right?
what you. I get
Like
you. I know.
you can just go out to Bolingbrook and buy whatever, and,
You very well could. You very well could.
and
There's
you'd be
a
right near
lot of those
BD's
homes are
Mongolian
on like the
barbecue.
second and third owner now. Like you know what I mean? Like like
Yeah.
there's like the bank already bought it back from people who couldn't afford it before, and it's like okay, so they're on the second and third
I mean,
generation.
I lived in like one of those cookie cutter development houses when I was in Orlando.
It's
Like,
what
it
do you
very
think,
much
Mike?
reminded me of your mom's place.
What do you think Mikey has? Like that's what he has in New Smyrna Beach.
Except
It's a
no,
nice
except
place, but
yeah,
it's just yeah. I mean, it's nice, but
just no
he built it.
no basement though.
Yeah, no basement.
Yeah.
No basement. He,
Well,
I mean, he had it built. I mean, it's
well, that's
nice.
all.
Like, he probably pays the same a month as I do, dude. And he has a house.
Yeah, but he lives in Florida.
I know. I know. Go by a school here and go by a school there. We passed
Well,
by a
in
school. It
Florida,
was like it had like
if you live
barbed
in
wire all around it. What?
and not like and where does he live again?
New Smyrna Beach.
Where's I don't know.
It's like Central
I
Florida.
guess
It's like
I guess
Orlando
kind of-
area. Yeah, it's like Orlando area.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
It has
It's by the
beach
beach.
in the title, but
It's by Daytona Beach.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just say Daytona then, not Orlando. Orlando's not on the ocean.
Well,
But
yeah, but in the
no,
grand scheme of
Daytona-
the country, they're pretty close to me. I realize they're like an hour away, maybe. I get you.
Yeah, I know it's not a very far drive from Orlando, or at least where I was in Orlando. And
Yeah, we went
Dude,
to
I got-
Orlando to see like a basketball game and like a comedy show. It was like an hour and 10 minutes.
yeah. No, I got and it's an easy drive actually from there.
Yeah.
But dude, I had to go. I forget why I had to go up there for something, and it was during Daytona 500. The traffic was just so bad.
Yeah, he lives right there,
It
dude.
was
Like
like
right
some of the-
by that. Yeah, like literally right there.
I think that's
Yeah.
where like Kevin Nash lives there. I think there's like a lot of wrestlers that live like in Daytona because it's
Oh, like,
cheaper.
what
It's
are they
just-
gonna do?
it's
Live
cheaper
in
than
Cleveland?
Tampa.
Like those old bones? No, they need to be in Florida for sure. They can't afford Jupiter.
But it's cheaper than Tampa. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Nash, I wonder how much his podcast makes a month.
He's still doing the shows, man. He's still doing the WrestleCons and stuff, you know. So it's like, I mean, I'm sure his show's doing fine, but it's a part of his income. He's still on there on the road with all the rest of the guys. I think it was Detroit last week
Yeah, I don't
or
think he
something
does
like
that. Many,
that.
but yeah, it's
Yeah, he just maybe
yeah,
does the
well,
big
it's
one.
got to be fun for him. Yeah, because I think this. I forget when I read it like a month ago. There's some wrestling event, obviously in Chicago, coming up in like
Mhm.
June. I think. I think he's supposed to be there, and just the regular people. Yeah, but that circuit, they like. I'm sure. Otherwise, he's just staying at home. Like I'm sure he likes
It's
interacting
him.
with the fans.
It's him, Scott Steiner, Bret Hart, Lex Luger,
You
Stevie Ray. Like these are the
You
guys.
can sit there. You can sit there, drink some wine,
Yeah,
and take pictures with fucking fat guys.
big show.
It's not
Yeah,
that
no,
hard
I
of a
get paid
job,
for it. No, I get paid for it. So it's not a bad way. It's a nice retirement package for pro wrestlers. For anybody who doesn't know, that's what you get. That's what you get.
Good point.
It's your
Unless you're
retirement.
Virgil.
That's true. But John,
Rest-
that's why
rest in
like
peace.
getting into Hall of Fame is so much important to these guys. You know what I mean? Because you could get a higher rate and you could come in like more for your
Yeah.
pictures, like all. So like these guys be like so butthurt if they didn't get named yet or whatever, and they like take it personally because they're like, you're in my, you know what I mean? Like they're like, yo, you're messing with my pockets. You know what I mean? Like I need this extra $10 a picture because I'm a Hall of Famer versus not being a Hall of Famer. That shit matters to them because that's their retirement fund.
Well, also too, when it comes to pictures, it's still also supply and demand. Where Kevin
Yeah,
Nash might have to sign 1,000 pictures
yeah.
versus Virgil only had to sign two, and one of them was for him. Yeah, you know what? For whatever
But he's
reason, I
gonna
just thought
charge
he
the
was
same
older.
as Kevin Nash, though.
Yeah.
If not more. If
Yep.
not more.
Yeah. He's like, I got to make up for Kevin Nash. I got to charge 1,000% higher rate. So
Dude, if I would just say $50 to take a picture with him, like, no. Absolutely
obviously,
not.
obviously, we kid Virgil. Rest in peace.
Yep,
I didn't
yep,
realize he was
yep.
only 62,
Yo,
but
he was in bad
that's an age for
condition.
wrestling.
Yeah, he's in bad condition. But also as a kid though, dude, I thought that was a nice long program they had. Like him being DiBiase's sidekick, and then they led up to the turn, and then DiBiase actually put him over, which is was a really cool thing. And he was like a mid card jobber with Tito Santana at the time. He went nowhere, but I mean, like the story to get him there was fantastic. I just remember him falling flat. Like there's obviously no like after the payoff, there's nobody had anything invested in him, and that was literally it. But it was a cool run up to it, though. I enjoyed it as a kid. I
Yeah, I
have
wasn't
one.
watching wrestling then.
I've got one that I know you probably don't have, and I'm going to say it anyway in case you do got something that I do have. So
Go for it.
Intel received billions in new government, uh, funds for production and manufacturing of these new chips. So I was sure you may have heard about it. I wonder what your thoughts are about it because in my mind, I am beginning to understand the types of chip production for the various levels of importance. And the stuff that they're talking about is okay, but it's not like nuclear warhead capability stuff. They're talking about chips for like the phones and stuff like that. So there's that aspect of it. So I'm just trying to frame it like that because the whole thing is like, we need to do more of this here, take this production away from China or whatever. But it's like I'm not worried about the Chinese, it's the Taiwanese. And if the Chinese were to overtake the Taiwanese and try to take those
Well, that's
factories,
where
they don't
they
even know
make
how
all
to
the
do
chips
it.
in Taiwan.
What's that?
Yeah, no, it's Taiwan that manufactures all
The
the
like
chips.
the like the really valuable, sophisticated chip. Like China may make some of the low level,
Well,
computer
no,
parts that we can make
yeah.
too now. But it's like that's not. And even if they did overtake that facility in Taiwan, they don't have engineers that know what the hell they're doing. So it's worthless to do it.
Oh, I bet they do. But
I
no,
don't
we
think
make
so.
high end
I don't think
chips.
so,
So
dude.
like
I don't think
the
so.
those are the only ones we make because like like Taiwan's just good at making chips. But I mean,
Hmm.
no, we make the highest end Intel processors are made in the United States
I know,
and
but that's
maybe in
like
the
not it's
Netherlands.
nothing compared to like these Taiwanese chips, though. But you're right, though. The highest made processors by Intel are made here. And they should make more, and they should make them better. We could make the Chinese mid level chips like obsolete. This isn't high level chips. I understand what they're trying to do. They're dominating like the market for this little stuff, like these laptops and PS and all that stuff. The stuff we need for that stuff is
Or your fridge or your coffee
yeah,
maker has
yeah,
a chip in
exactly,
it.
yeah,
Like all the
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this isn't like game changing military. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes I get confused and I'm just now starting to understand the various nations that produce the various different types of chips that have varying degrees of importance, if that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, you could argue. Well, yeah, it was kind of funny. We were in that chip shortage for a long time, but I
Yeah,
guess we probably still are. They had a bad, yeah. It was like one hurricane hit Taiwan and knocked out like half the world's chip, like manufacturing power, and that took like years to recover. I mean, that's why everything was so insane when it came to like cars during COVID, because just the chips were costing so much money.
sure.
But I mean, I think the largest developer of chips, especially for like low end stuff, I think it's still ARM, who I think is now owned by I think a Korean company bought it because it's originally a British company.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Japanese hedge fund guy bought it, and then he sold it off. I mean, he might have sold to. I think I don't know. I guess I don't think it was Samsung, but he sold it to I'm pretty sure a Korean company. And then I think I don't know if it was Nvidia or Intel wanted to buy them, and the U.S. government said no, which makes sense. I'm 100% for that. But I think like ARM chips for like just daily use stuff, I think it represents like half the chips we use.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they're in like ARM will be in a bunch of stuff. So if you have a cell phone, if you have an iPhone, there still could be maybe not anymore, but there still would be like an ARM
Yeah.
chip in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna especially with the rise of AI. That's why Nvidia is doing so well because you have more of these chips that are designed for AI.
Mm-hmm.
So the computing powers that's going to be needed in the future is going to be crazy, And
Yeah,
so,
it's smart to invest in it now. Yeah, for sure.
well, it goes back to the chip. So the Chip Act, the Chips Act,
Mm-hmm.
that must have been signed into law in like late 2021, or I was still in Orlando, and a lot of it was also just kind of a giveaway to like chip manufacturers and shit. Who knows if they actually invest it? I don't know. But it will be a problem because this just came up recently too. America's down to like one steel company. I think it's just U.S. Steel now, right? I think that's the only steel
I
company we
know,
have.
dude. Like we don't really make a lot of anything anymore. It's becoming an issue for sure.
Yeah, but who wants to work in a steel? Now some of these steel mills are by me, right? They're just in Northwest Indiana. They're
Yeah, but
like
you
in
can't even say
Northwest
like who wants to
Indiana.
work there. It's not even a choice anymore. Like they just abandon. Like there's so many people that were never probably fitted for college who could have, went to like a, like a
Mike
technical school.
Cavaligos, Mike Cavaligos, he worked at a steel mill.
I, that seemed from the
And
person I remember in
he
high
probably
school.
gets
I mean,
paid
that
like.
seemed to fit him well. I mean, that's great. Like, and I think more people should have been afforded that opportunity because what's wrong with making?
I agree. Manufacturing's fine for
Yeah,
Italians. I agree.
yeah, for sure.
You agree to that? No, but yeah, but he probably gets paid. It's going to get paid quite a bit of money. That's a tough job.
Oh, I know, and
But
they should get
anyways,
paid quite a bit of money. But it's like that. But there used to be other avenues to making money as opposed to just like selling kids the dream of going to college. Which, by the way, it's like going to college is not
dude, I just
necessarily.
made $8,000 on. Dude, I just made $8,000 on crypto like 2 weeks ago. But no, but so then like 2 months ago, a Japanese company, I forget which one, wanted to buy U.S. Steel, and it was like a resounding no from Congress. Like everybody came out and
We
was
have
like
to. We
no.
can't. Yeah, we can't. We can't.
But a lot of that stuff's also kind of silly. Like a lot of that's just like, okay, well, who owns? It's not like Japan was going to buy U.S. Steel, then move all the steel to Japan. Japan doesn't
No,
even make steel
I know,
anymore.
but it's still like
Like
the
so.
sort of just perfunctory, like what if scenario. You know what I mean? Like something were to happen today, like we can't be. The position of the United States is to never be reliant on another nation unless we really have to be. So you wouldn't. So they would never give up steel and put themselves in a place to not have it at least at some quantity of a resource. It just
Well,
doesn't make
no,
sense.
the goal of the U.S. is no, it is to maintain the global financial system. Right? We're in this era of just financialization of everything, and the U.S. empire has been about, and the British did the same thing, or the Dutch, or whatever. It's not like a new thing, but it's about just maintaining financial hegemony over as much of the world as possible, no matter how many people we have to kill or whatever, fuck over. It's just finance. It's just finance, finance,
Yeah,
finance. So
because
that's why,
capitalism. Because capitalism.
right. So it's like, I mean, I guess the U.S., I don't even know where a lot of the U.S. steel factories, obviously they went to China and they went to Asia, Southeast Asia. But even the ones in Mexico, I don't even know if those are still there. I think those ended up moving somewhere else. So that's
I
just
know
a
that
progression of all
exactly.
this.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, but if we actually had a serious war, I mean, that's in theory a good thing about capitalism because, like, if we actually had to go to war with China, which I don't think China does not want to go to war with us. Do we want to go to war with China and overthrow them? Yes, 100% we do.
Right.
Like, you can't really do it. Like, even U.S. weapons, a lot of those components, the
Well,
screws are being made in the screws for the fucking bombs are being made in China. So
yeah. So I mean, like theoretically, the issue though becomes things become harder for us if we go to war with them, but not impossible. But things become impossible for them if they go to
no,
war with us.
it'd be impossible to go to war with China. Absolutely impossible. First of all, I don't even know what that means. So, right, it'd just be whatever,
Or
fight
just
over
yeah, like
Taiwan,
what does it even mean? It would have to be like
send
insulated
U.S.
to like a
troops.
particular area or something because like obviously with everybody having these capabilities, it's like I
I mean,
don't know.
it'd be
Like yeah,
impossible
yeah.
in this day of age. It'd be impossible to have a land war with China,
You'd be
and
fighting proxy wars
it,
through just your constituent.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like your
yeah,
country
yeah,
and their
yeah.
country,
It'd
and
be
you just
Taiwan. Taiwan would be a proxy war. That is a proxy war.
right,
We're
right.
fighting in a proxy war right now with fucking Russia. I
Well,
mean,
everywhere. Like that's the landscape of what is going on across the globe is small proxy wars. It is the accepted Western powers or whatever, or really you could look at it like what you just said, like the people like think about like the IMF, like think about like the you know what I mean, like just the international money community as a large, and then all of our enemies, particularly if you want to think about it from this perspective, don't participate in the IMF. So we group them that way, right? So Russia, China, Iran, um,
Venezuela.
North Korea. Yeah. So
Well, actually, I think Venezuela. I don't know if Venezuela is different than those other
and
countries. I think
Russia's
because
interesting because they have
South
dabbed.
America is just
To your
different.
point. Yeah, exactly. Well, South America is interesting too because they got oil, so it's kind of like they've been a little boisterous because they have resources. Now, can they get it out the ground is another thing. That's been the story of South America is having everything nationalized because you've over leveraged yourself or been forced to over
They don't
leverage.
have everything nationalized in Venezuela, though. The problem is with sanctions too. Is first of
But
all they
that's what the
control fucking
politics
oil.
were about before what's his name died or whatever. Like they had been
Hugo
fighting.
Chavez.
Yeah, they've been fighting these notions. Like this is and this is old politics. This is old politics.
Well, I
Also
mean,
in
yeah,
Africa, everything's nationalized. Also in Africa too, all the time, right? Like
Hugo
that because
Chavez. Hugo Chavez did a good job in
I
Venezuela.
think he did. When you have to look
Yeah,
at
but
what he was
no.
given, yeah. But like my point
No,
was
they
going to
were
be,
dirt poor.
oh,
They
I
were
know.
dirt
Well, yeah, but
fucking
at least they
poor.
have resources though. And the funny thing is, it's like
That's supposed to be our oil for free. We're supposed to allow just to go to Venezuela and take their fucking oil and then have it refined by a Koch brothers fucking refinery plant in Houston, Texas, for free. That
and
that
the
that, that
yeah.
and I mean, if you ever see pictures of Venezuela, I mean, before Hugo Chavez actually took power, like 70% of the country was illiterate. I mean, they literally live in
Oh
like like those houses with like tin roofs and shit.
no,
I mean,
listen,
it
no,
was just
listen. A lot of South American leaders have
we,
gotten a bad rap over certain things that we could go back and like recrystallize for sure.
even
Like how
Castro.
I was just gonna say, like you want to talk about illiteracy? Over 30% of the country was illiterate at one point, and he actually closed. I
Oh,
want to say,
when Castro when the
you
revolution
remember
came
he
over, no,
closed
it
the
was like
schools. He closed the schools and forced high schoolers to teach their parents and the rest of their families how to read and write. And in 3 years,
yeah. I
the
think it was
literacy rate was like
I,
98%.
yeah no I think because it actually went when Batista was overthrown. I think
Yeah,
the illiteracy rate in Cuba was like 90%. Because there's just kind of like a casino for like rich guys from New York to
I don't
go,
know if it was necessarily that high, but it was
and
extremely high though. Like I get your point though. It was like uncharacteristically high, and he had
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
but a lot of this stuff was set up on purpose, right? So when
Oh,
people came
sure.
over to colonize
Sure.
shit, it
Of
was
course.
they
Of course.
didn't want the natives to know how to read and write. You know,
Of
that was
course,
done on
of
purpose.
course, you were separated from everybody you came over with too, so you guys aren't finding your way back. You're not talking to anybody, making plans. That's why we don't have culture today as a people. I can't trace my roots back to wherever the hell we came from in Africa because it's been designed for us not to be able to do that, right? So,
You know, I saw a great clip of today. I'd love to get your opinion on this because I think it is interesting. Fuck, I should have saved that. That's something I should say. I got to do a better job at putting these. So we have these clips to go over later. Anyways, and it's about Africa. So I guess I'm getting more Africa stuff on my feed because I was writing a bunch on the Congo like 2 months ago, and
yeah,
Africa. I read too much, and Africa always it's too much for me. There's already too much stuff going on. It's too much. Anyways, um, there was an interview. What country? Fuck, was it the Netherlands? I guess it was like King Leopold. He
I
essentially
think it
killed like I
was
forget what
the
country it was.
nether. Was it Norway?
No, it wasn't Norway. I think it was it was either like the Dutch. I think it had to be the Dutch. Anyways, I forget what countries they colonized in Africa. But when he was king, so this is like I mean this is
Oh,
120
probably
years
the
ago.
Dutch. If we're talking Africa and colonization, like the
Yeah,
Boers and the
yeah, I
Dutch.
think it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they were all there, but I think this is the one. I think King like was it Leonard or Leopold, whatever.
Leopold the First.
Anyway, so it's on a local TV channel in whatever African country, and it was very interesting because they were bringing up it was like because a lot of this stuff is Gaza and Israel was brought up, and one of the presenters just made a point that I really just I guess I hadn't thought about before was he was like, well, um, with like the Jews, it's like, well, Hitler killed 6 million Jews and never forget. Meanwhile, in this same country, whatever that King Leopold or whatever killed like 30 million people, and they're told to forget about it and move on. So it's just kind of like an interesting thing, but that always happens with Africa, dude. Reading about Africa is always fucking sucks.
Well, I
It's
mean, that's
too
why I'm
depressing.
kind of like looking at it from that perspective. Like, I'm not like talking about Gaza and
I
Israel
think the
all day
Jews should
long,
move on, but
and I
yeah,
don't think it's like a big deal to me from the perspective of I recognize the role that we play in people's miseries across the world. So it's kind of like I think there's nothing more problematic than having somebody post all day about stuff, about anti-Israel program, all this stuff, about condemning us for not doing anything when we perpetually have
well, we're
caused
complicit. We're
problems.
complicit in all this.
Yeah,
So
all of it, dude. So it's kind of like I hate when people jump in. Like, you know what I mean? Like I hate when people just jump in to this one thing right here and you make this your whole fucking issue. But it's like, where were you? Like John and I have been reading about US intervention for bullshit reasons for decades. You and I have been reading about this.
yeah,
For decades at
yeah, I
this point.
know. 25, like yeah, pretty much 25 years.
Fucking decades. You and I have been reading on and on and on and on about this. So that's why I don't get too much in those. And you're right. And the thing about Africa that I'll add, because I know we don't get in that can of worms. You're right. It's like too big a thing to talk about. But the one thing I'll say that is particularly damning for them is we talked about nationalization in South America. Nationalization of like industry and resources in Africa is a huge part of the problem, and that's by design
Oh,
because the IMF. You cannot get resources and loans for them unless you have collateral to guarantee said loans. And so a lot of times they don't have the money, which is why they're coming for money. So they have
yeah.
to change the rules, right? And so you have to nationalize this, nationalize that, nationalize this oil industry, get this, that, 30% of this and that. So their shit has been carved up ridiculously in the name of getting help. It's a system
Well,
that
it's not
doesn't have
nationalized.
to
No,
be that
they
way.
want Western corp. they want Western corporations owning it. I mean,
Right.
so
And it
I mean,
doesn't have to be that way, but it is that way.
that's
But they
opposite of
market it as like
nationalism.
a helping them. So I want to be very clear that the help that we've been providing is a large part of the problem with what's going on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's why it's been interesting now over the last at least 10 years, and it'll um, only continue to grow. Is obviously you have a lot more Chinese money in Africa, and
So much Chinese money in Africa.
it's like
And they're doing the same thing,
it's still way
nationalizing
more.
the
So like,
resources, nationalizing
okay,
the railroads.
I don't know why you keep on saying it nationalizing, but it's not. It's the
That's
opposite
what
of that.
that's where the
It,
government takes over a certain percentage of it as collateral. Like they could deed that over to these companies if they can't pay them if they were to um uh uh what do you call it on the loan?
default.
There you go. Default on the loan, then this is collateral against those defaulted payments. They're not like literally giving it over to them, but it is used as collateral to back these payments. And that is the problem because inevitably they can't make the payments at some point. Payments go on too long, they cost too much. Then they do default, and then that's how it gets in their hands. That's what's happening with China wholesale across Africa right now.
Yeah, but okay, yeah, but here's the thing. China, we hear about it as being like, well, China's doing all the debt traps and all this shit. We do that at a scale 100 times larger.
We invented
100
it.
times.
We showed them how to do it. We did it first. We do it better.
But we still do it more. So my favorite is I forget what it was. This must have been 4 or 5 years now. There's a copper mine somewhere in Africa, and it was picked up by like even the I think the New York Times. Even I would have read about it first, probably the New York Times or something like that, and then eventually you get the independent media and they do some like real stuff. So the whole thing was complaining about China in that they had given a loan for like $1.8 billion and how it's going to bankrupt this country. Well, then it turns to it comes out that who actually owns the debt of this fucking African country is a Canadian mining company owned like 80% of it. So like the 1.8 billion was like 7%. So it just happened a couple years ago too with in Sri Lanka. They're like, oh, China's this, China's that. Well, the IMF owned 80%, or no, I think Japan actually was the largest debt owner of Sri Lanka with like 85%. China owned like 10%, but the whole thing's about China, even though they own 10%, which is nothing. So you just have to be careful. It just, I was thinking about it actually earlier today, or the last like couple of weeks, but especially today, where to kind of try to get out of this, like we still live in like a zero sum game, and like win lose, like so it's just going to be crazier and crazier going forward, and especially when I was looking at the Congo, which I mean it's too complicated and it's very difficult to actually get good information. But my understanding of it, because it's all about cobalt, right? Because we need cobalt for everything, especially with, it's in all the electric cars and your phone. And cobalt's going to be, but it's all like, I mean, it's literally fucking slave labor mining cobalt with fucking sandals on. But then you have all these warlords and we back the government, but then we back the military, but we don't back the government. And then you have all these warlords. And then with all the warlords, some of them are backed by China, some of them are backed by the U.S. or France,
Right.
And it's just like this fucking clusterfuck. Just so, at the end of the day, this is all happening so we can save. When you buy a phone, or you buy a car, you can literally save 5 cents because that 5 cents, how we live. It belongs to the fucking corporation to save 5 cents.
Well, it's about the battery. It's about the battery is what it is. It's about the battery. And there's only so much cobalt anyway. So it's a finite problem. But I mean, what you're saying is true. It's all true. It's not.
This has been going on for 100 years. This is not like a news. This is not like
that's what I mean. Like it's not news to me. Like as a black person, it's like the older you get, the more inquisitive you should be. And if you do research, you come up with all this stuff. And then it becomes very easy to start like thematically seeing it. What happened here? What happened here? What happened here? What happened here? You know, and especially with my family being Panamanian, then you're seeing the same thing over there. And it's like, okay, so this is a game and this is how it's played, right? So I mean, but that's capitalism. But that's capitalism. That's the, you know, the results are to be, we know from a study in this, you know, in school, that's the basics of what they tell you about the system is that it will bring larger periods of, you know, of success, but also, you know, biggest booms too. So those big boom bust cycles are going to continue to increase and increase and increase. We were lied to before. We were told that having a national bank was going to, you know, really shore this up or whatever. And it did not. You know, that we see we're still going. But at the end of the day, the only real thing is to have a different system, right? And I really feel like there is something else. I don't know what it is. I'm not like, you know, I'm not running for president. I don't know what it is, but
you fucking call me.
But I will say this about that, about socialist aspect. I don't think in this day and age that it's too far fetched for me to be able to go to the damn grocery store and like have them scan my ID. And so much of these fucking groceries should be free. Like that's a problem that don't happen today, this age in the United States of America. I don't care where I am. I should be able to like.
Wait, what?
Okay, so I got paid for this gallon of milk because it's my third gallon for the month or whatever. But it's like, I'm sorry, the fact that that's not a thing is a.
Well, that's not how communism. Well, that's not how communism worked.
I'm not talking about communism. I was just saying, like, to me personally, I don't see why that's not attainable. Like, I think that's fucking attainable. Like all the we're not really wealthy.
What we do,
you know what I mean? Like we don't get like checks from the government. Like we're not really wealthy. You know, like Saudi Arabian citizens, like they get like, you know, like dividend checks from the government for the oil and shit. We don't have nothing, John.
Well, not the migrants. Not the migrants.
to Saudi Arabia?
Imagine being one of those migrants from Africa that build all that shit there.
Oh no, you're a migrant. No, they don't like black people. They're not giving you shit. They don't want you to stay there at all. They're not giving you anything.
Yeah, but they have oil money and they don't make anything. Saudi Arabia sucks. Saudi Arabia sucks. They don't make anything. So there's no jobs.
I wasn't saying that they don't suck. I was just saying, like, I was saying as an example, like their citizens get dividends from the government. I was like, we don't get shit. Was my point? Like we don't have anything. You know, like I deserve some groceries.
Yeah.
We just all we got is taxes, bro. And to actually complicate your life, you got to pay taxes on all the money on all your income, right? Well, why if I pay taxes and then I pay state income tax too? Once I get this leftover money and I have it every week, like why am I still going out and paying taxes on all the shit that I'm buying? What are you like? I twitch.
Well,
like,
you need taxes.
No, you don't, dog. No, you don't, dog. No, you don't. I don't.
How are you gonna fund society? We live in a society, Ralph.
John, they do not
fund the roads. But how are you going to fund the roads? How are you going to fund the schools? How are you going to fund fucking anything?
Listen. We are taxed way more now than the country's ever been. I'm not convinced that to do better, we just need to be taxed more. If that was the case, Illinois would be the best place to live in the entire world. And it's not. The point is to be effective with the money you do have. I think we have more than enough money. It's resource and allocation, and ultimately with all politics, it's cronyism too. And like, how much is that?
We. Who do you mean by we? Someone actually has to spend the money. So who's spending the money for the roads and the schools?
There's only one. That's the people in charge, John. Like that's the politics. Like that's like. The fact that we have to deal with shit like pork barrel spending and stuff like that is all a byproduct of capitalism. Greed is everything in capitalism. So we can't expect there to not be output from the system politically. Like greed is the backbone of capitalism. Of course, politicians will be greedy. Like you can't have one without the other. But so, like to my point, it's like I don't think the taxes is the problem, man. Like the issue is the wherever else all the money goes and the allocation really.
The problem is that the politicians work for the capitalists and not the people. That's the
Correct.
problem.
Yeah, that's correct, dude. Yep. The Citizens United made that like, very, very firm. Very, very firm. Said
Uh,
corporations got rights like I got. That's what
I
that
know.
law
I
said.
know. Well, and it also just. I mean, there's essentially unlimited money now in the
Their
political
money is their
system.
free speech, so they can use it unlimitedly.
Yeah,
is what
I
we
know.
got from that, which is ridiculous, dude. Like, I would be for a repeal of that, to be quite honest.
There was a study that came out of Stanford that it's always kind of cited online. I think from like 2014 or maybe 2016, and it ranked. The study ranked essentially Western countries, Europe and us and shit, on the responsiveness rate from the politicians have to the population. And U.S. is ranked at 0%.
Yeah,
Zero.
for shit what we think.
Like Norway was like 75%, and then it just gets worse and worse. And then it gets to U.S. and it's like 0%. There is
Yeah.
zero response
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
politicians to the people. Well, we live in an oligarchy. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
So
They don't give a shit what we
it's
listen.
democracy and Trump.
When you see these like debates and stuff, dude, like they show it to you. It's like you could ask the question and it's firmly acceptable now for the candidate to just skip the actual answer and then just say a talking point from their platform.
Oh, that's
Like,
always been the case. Yeah, that's always
but,
been the case.
but that's feeding into what you say though. That's exactly what you just said. The fact that they don't even give a so we're just going to ask you a question on national TV that's of importance to us, and they just say just answer a different question, and we're like, it's fucking America,
know.
man. That's like, to me, that's why
Yeah.
like my interest in politics is like a bell curve, like is down now. Like I got so interested in high school and all that in college, but I'm just not interested now because to me it's just a sick joke, dog. It's just like what first of all, nobody wants to participate. The
I
people that
agree.
do want to participate can't participate. Like it's just ignorant. So okay, this
Yeah, it's always gonna be a tough situation.
I'm
Okay.
wondering what you think about this. Read this week that Honda and Nissan are going to team up to develop their electric technology for their cars. They understand that they've been behind in this industry as far as that goes because they were so much more invested in gasoline and hybrid
Well, hydrogen.
and hybrid.
Hydrogen.
But,
No,
so
hydrogen. They're still doing hydrogen stuff. They have a new
okay.
hydrogen truck coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, but the point is they weren't investing in like electric though, and so they realized that they have minimal resources, so they've decided to team up as it goes with that. So, as far as electric goes, they're going to be working together to develop that. So I wonder what your thoughts were about that as far as those two companies go.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, but Toyota used to have, I think it was Toyota used to have, they were developing an electric car with Ford. And then that broke off. They know they're behind, but a lot of it was done on purpose. I mean, they just had a different strategy. They thought it was going to be hydrogen. But the problem is like, like hydrogen fuel cells and stuff like that, because there's like a bunch of natural, like Japan doesn't have any natural resources really. They used to have some coal, but they, the whole thing with World War, the whole thing with their empire was that they had to go to other countries to get fucking resources. Well, no, and so no, essentially they got into the war because the U.S. we blockaded them from getting oil, which is kind of why they attacked, I think. But yeah, they can mine a bunch of like, I forget what it's called. It's literally like it looks like ice at the bottom of the ocean, and if you can extract that, you can easily turn that into hydrogen. I forget how it works. I mean, this is a million years ago. I was reading it. But the problem is like, so in Japan you can get hydrogen stations. You're in California. I think there's only like 57 hydrogen fuel stations in America, and like 53 of them are in California. You know, so I think you can, if you had a hydrogen car, you could probably drive from LA to San Francisco. But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they were trying to. I don't know why they weren't doing more. It's not like Toyota's a small company, you know. Toyota's like, well, I think it's the biggest, or I think it's probably Volkswagen then Toyota. So it's the second largest.
they're doing so well with gasoline, though. I think that's the reason why, though. Do you know what I mean? Like these other companies that really got on electric quickly. Let's say Ford wasn't doing great, John. Like they needed to offer some other options to kind of get in the game. And
Ford
Toyota was.
I would never buy a Ford.
Of course. Well, I mean,
you
of
got your
course.
mind to buy a Ford.
I mean, of course. And Toyota was smart to get into, but no, they needed to because Honda and Nissan were dominating. You know, they're pretty strong in the American market, and I think that's so. Just to kind of answer your question about like why didn't they? I think it was kind of like shit. We don't want to take our foot off the gas on this thing. Well, no pun intended, but the good thing going with gasoline, right? Like let's worry about that later.
And
I think,
and
that's probably wrong.
Less risk adverse.
Sure.
Japan's also less risk adverse.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. So they're just like, let's stick with what's been working.
They still use fax machines in Japan.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah,
it's just slow. Like you always think of Japan being like technology in the future, but it's not. You know, it's very old school, conservative, just slowly. They just like slightly moving like this. And so without taking those risks, I mean, without Elon Musk, I guess we wouldn't have an electric car market, or if we did, it'd just be like whatever. I mean, there's a couple of other electric car companies in California, but one of them was like a big scam. You have Rivian. I mean, I was in an Uber like a couple months ago, probably, and it was a Hyundai electric car. It looked way better than a fucking Tesla, and I bet it's better. Well,
do you think this partnership can quickly yield them, like top of industry results?
No, it's because also the problem is, and I don't understand this either. It's because initially, when Tesla first started, I guess I don't know what battery they used, but at a certain point, like when they built all these like battery places here in the U.S., it was, I mean, Tesla used Panasonic. Panasonic's a Japanese company.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think they use Panasonic anymore, but I think they work with like Mercedes. So like they came in, the whole thing's about battery. The fucking whole thing's about a battery because there's no way the Japanese can't develop an electric engine.
I guess we're going to have to find out. We're going to see shortly. But interesting, too, because they're still going to be competing against each other in the gasoline market. Like, very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, but the market's also a little bit different. It depends how you think about it. Like, so when you look at, like, videos, like, in Africa or stuff like that, it's always, like, a Toyota truck. You know, because they're going to be reliable.
A Tundra.
And people, and other than, like, other than, like, big cities in Africa, no one's buying a fucking electric car.
Ooh.
You know, let's say in Lagos or something. So,
Cybertruck in the world.
I could see at some point. So I think it was Honda. So Honda and Sony joined up. So there's like a Sony type car coming out at some point, and I think it is electric actually. But I think they wanted to debut it a couple years ago, but it's just at this point, yeah, I think it only got like 140 miles, on a charge. Well,
this is all relevant to the fact that, they're squabbling about the deadline for electric only for these manufacturers. And I know a part of Trump's platform.
That's going to get pushed back for a decade.
And I was going to say, I know part of Trump's platform is to push that back. I know even Biden is considering it. Trump will certainly do it. I think it's interesting how the French
it's supposed to be phased out by they're trying to phase it out. Yeah, but Trump won't be president then. They're trying to phase it out by 2032 or something, or 2034. That's going to get pushed back. And that's just for new
cars.
What
I mean is he's saying to push it, right? He's saying to push it back. But I do think it's interesting
how get pushed back at the time. It'll get pushed back in 6 years or 8 years or whatever.
Listen, that's what I just said. they're talking
Well,
about how long it gets pushed back. Biden would push it back. Trump would also push it back. Trump would push it
I'm
back
saying it has
long.
nothing to do. I'm saying it has nothing to do with Trump or Biden. Yeah, but it has nothing to do with Trump or Biden.
No, I was saying in
But
retrospect, it's interesting to what we were talking about with that industry. That's why I mentioned it, because we were talking about the electric car industry, right? And so I was just saying it's interesting that, we're talking about this market that's obviously very important, but to say that the manufacturers have a little more time with gasoline is also interesting. I think that plays into how seriously they take it, because you're right. Both sides are going to push it back, So that was my point
I
is,
think
are they real serious about this yet? Or are they still dicking around basically?
no.
Because nobody seems to really want to move to that point and just say, okay, like everybody's kind of slowing up now.
Yeah, but no, we're gonna drill every fucking drop of oil possible. That's what I think. So all this
Yeah.
stuff about
Well,
climate change,
the
all this
Republicans are
shit,
going to make us. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
the Democrats are going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter. Joe Biden, it doesn't matter. I mean, under Obama, it was kind of the same thing. Under Obama, we became the world's largest exporter of, or the largest.
Exporter of oil.
No, I didn't mean to say exporter. Producer. I mean, just producer. We produce right now. We produce way more oil than Saudi Arabia. Way more. We're the world's largest producer of.
I know that makes sense from a consumption standpoint,
and
because
gas.
we're trying to supplant, like we're trying to feed consumption that we've also created, by the way, because they
But
try to manipulate the
point,
market by manipulating quantity, basically. So this is always a deal with them.
no,
We want them to produce more. They don't want to
yeah, but
produce.
my point with this though is it doesn't really matter if it's Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter because this happened under Obama, and yet my grandmother a couple years later is still being used. Trump said the same thing a couple years later, being like, "Well, Obama, didn't let us drill oil, even though we became the number one producer of oil in the world under Obama, the number one, and yet." Half the country thinks that somehow Obama cut it. Like he actually expanded it. It's the same thing now. You hear about it, be like, oh, Obama or Biden not letting the oil companies. Obama right away because a bunch of what's that called? Sunrise Movement. We're pissed at Biden because Biden handed over like whatever tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of land permitted for oil companies to drill. They just don't do it. But Biden gave him the land. It's all on federal land, public land. So it doesn't matter. Like they're just going to say shit. We're just going to continue to use more and more oil, no matter what.
The Republicans
and just
and
for
the
whatever
Democrats
reason
are not that far apart on a lot of different agenda items. Like if you look at politics in a global sense too, we're like very.
Okay, yeah, I know, but let's stick with the oil though. Like, what do you think about that? Because you hear it now, like Biden's not letting oil companies drill for oil, even though he
No,
gave
I
them
don't. No, I
everything.
don't think
It's
that
just
was
so
ever an
ridiculous.
issue. I think the issue is like the active promotion of it versus acceptance of it, and that perception of it. That's all it is. The Democrats prefer to be perceived as the party of the
I agree
people,
with
stuff
that.
on that. But that's like not even true. That's just the perception that they want. The reality is, it's like corporate versus corporate light. You take your pick, Democrat or Republican. They achieving the same sort of end goals, but at different rates at different times for different
Yeah, they
reasons.
both work for Shell. They both work for Chevron. I mean, it's not. They both work for the same corporation.
I
It's
get that.
not.
It's like, what do you want? Corporate versus corporate light. We're just talking about different rates that you will tax them.
I
That's
know,
it.
but I
They're writing
understand
all
we're
it off
agreeing.
anyway.
I'm just saying it. I know, but I'm just saying it is funny though how the Democrats are just bad at. I guess at messaging. I don't know because it doesn't
They're
make any
bad at
sense.
they don't have messaging, John. The Republicans are very good at messaging. If you notice, they
Dude,
always have
Trump is bad. You didn't hear that one?
they always Republicans always have a platform. You always know exactly what it is that they're for. The Democrats enjoy being a catch-all. They want to be the not them. So they purposely have this like convoluted, like I'll be what you want me to be sort of perception about things. And that's the problem with them. The Republicans are very clear on what they want to do as far as the economy goes, as far as abortion goes, as far as states' rights in general, taxes, everything. All the Democrats want to do is gauge your reaction and say, we're not them. And just always just be the, we're not them. Like they are not prepared to actually offensively do anything unless you look at the progressives. And then they're talked about as being too much, too radical. They don't want a progressive platform. Whereas the Republicans have, their platform is fucking live, bro. Like abortion is illegal all over the country. Like their platform is live, bro.
Yeah, well, it's not a popular position. I mean, even the abortion law in Kansas failed. The abortion law in Ohio failed. Yeah, I don't know.
I think women are scared as hell, and they should be. I think there's something to be said about, like, look, and even as a Christian, dude, I can't. It's not that. This is not that. That's not what we're talking about. Because if you as a Christian don't believe in abortion, that's for you. That's for you and yours. You can't force your belief on people who aren't Christians. That's not biblical. That's not Christian. That's not spiritual. So this is not about, they like to use the evangelicals like to use churches, well, that's what it is. It's church, because it ain't Christianity. It's church. I don't know any actual Christian that believes that I should force my religion on you, your wife, even if she's not Christian. She can't get an abortion. That makes no fucking sense to me. None whatsoever.
Yeah, but all religions are based off like trying to convince people for their. I mean,
like if you follow it, yeah. Like, do I think abortion is wrong? Like, if I had a kid, I would have the kid, right? Like, if something happened, but that's not for me to say to other people, though. But you can't but that's the whole thing. It depends, and then you can't say to other people, though. Is my point. I really don't think it's American, this whole like deciding for you thing. Like you can't. I had this passage you say like you can't legislate love. There's not enough laws that you can make to force people to be good to one another. Like you're just gonna force people to lash out, dude. That's it.
Yeah, people don't like being told what to do.
Never.
And they want to be left alone.
Yeah. And I as a Christian don't understand what we get from forcing values that aren't, on our values on people that aren't Christian. Doesn't make sense to me. That makes no sense.
Well, let's move to something a little bit more. Oh, so I wrote this down. I think Endeavor should buy back the name WWF.
I was thinking about this a couple weeks ago too. That's funny, dude.
And if they don't agree, they will shoot all those fucking pandas in the head, IDF style.
Oh my god.
Well, Endeavor is run by Jews, so it's a joke on that. And they might do it.
I think they should buy NASCAR.
What's the market cap of NASCAR?
Check it out, my man. Because their viewership is growing year over year, and you're getting more interest from higher profile partners with like more stable finances. Like Jordan's a partner. Pitbull has a car now. Like,
I think Shaq is doing something with them too.
Yeah, man. Like they're on the up and up, dude. I think NASCAR is a nice portfolio, man. Like you do well to put that in your back pocket. Endeavor could do it, dude. They could bring him in.
Fuck, I want to get. All I can find is like what a team's worth.
Like think about it, dude. Here, like each one of those, like each car in the top series, so NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Like if you have one car that you take to these tracks and stuff every week and you race and you're potentially a contender, that's like a $15 million.
It says a team's worth like $100 million.
I was just gonna say that's a $15 million car if you do that. The best teams, top of the line teams, they're running 4 cars, right? And so that's like a $60 million operation on wheels every week. So that's just those cars and those, so now you got staff and payroll, transportation, all that shit. It's easily.
I'm talking about the worth of it, not how much it cost.
No, no,
You know,
no. I
like
was
so
just
what?
no. I'm just
Yeah, they
using
spend that
that
much
as a
money, but
calculation. So I'm saying each like a good team is worth like at least 100 million, right? And so now you got to look at you've
yeah,
got like what 30 teams at the top level, and then you've got but there's three tiers in NASCAR. So obviously those other tiers aren't worth the same value each car team or whatever. But think about that though, dude. Like think like we're talking about at least. I mean that's a dude. That's like no. That's got to be like a five. Like no, dude. We're talking billions,
well, I'm
dude. I
reading
just don't know how many.
here. I'm
That's
reading here. I'm reading here. It says so. This is Motley Fool. So take it as you will.
incredible.
Uh, I mean, they're saying what's this International Speedway
Mm-hmm.
is worth 1.7 billion, and
But
then
that's just a
Speedway.
speedway that does business with NASCAR though. NASCAR doesn't really. Oh, actually, they might own them because they do own some tracks, but NASCAR doesn't own every track though.
Yeah, I know. And then there's Speedway Motorsports,
Mhm.
um, and that is TR. Okay, oh fuck this site. Never mind. I mean, I think it's probably worth. I mean, yeah, I have no idea. I never thought about how much NASCAR would be worth. It'd be like, well, what's the ML like buying the MLB? Like, I don't even.
Oh,
It'd
you can't do
be.
it.
I don't know.
There's no. You can't do it. There's no value. You can't do it. You don't have it. You can't do it because the Yankees are worth what?
I don't know, 5 billion, 6 billion.
I was gonna say about 6 billion,
I think.
right? That's just the Yankees. Like
Yeah, I think.
you can't buy MLB.
Yeah,
You can't buy MLB because just for the teams alone, nobody can foot that bill. But that's just the teams. That's like not.
and I think the team should be owned by the city, anyways. But
Oh, I think that's a terrible idea.
why?
You see the way
Why?
Chicago's run? You want them in charge of the Cubs? I think that'd
The
be
Cubs
terrible.
fucking
Dude.
suck always, dude.
Yeah, but
Versus
I
who?
don't.
Just a
They don't.
billionaire? No, I.
They don't know how to deal with a budget, dude. They're not gonna. Like they're not. What have they done to show you that they would be good team owners? I don't see it actually.
The Packers are owned by the people of Wisconsin.
To some degree, that is true. But I feel
They
like
don't run it. I mean, that's not how
yeah.
you can structure anything you want. I'm just saying, why is the ownership a fucking billionaire who can move the team if they want, versus just have the city own it, or at least
Well,
have
the
the
city
city
should.
own
Well,
51
it's not
fifty-one
impossible, but the
percent.
city should pay for a team. Then, like a city should buy a team. I think you're right, but they should buy a team. They shouldn't be giving it. They should buy a team.
What the fuck do you care about that?
Like
I mean,
Vegas
they
should
have.
buy. Like Vegas should buy Oakland.
Okay, yeah, but we do the opposite. We just give them the money to the billionaires so they own the team. I mean, it's
We
fucking
give them.
ridiculous.
We
But the
give them
Cubs,
a lot. Yeah, we give them a lot of the money, not all of it, but also like there's.
when the Rick, well, for a lot of places they build the arenas and all. Vegas paid for all
But
that
John,
shit.
if a city did it, it wouldn't be like it is now. Like the arena they build would be so shit. It'd be so bad. It crumbles so quick. Tickets would be like as high as they can make them, like for sure. Like they
No,
would like.
I think it's the tickets actually would be less. I mean, there'd be less money in the system because of it, because everything's overvalued. So that's fine. I'm just saying. So if you're a football fan and you're in St. Louis and your team wants to leave, it's just up to a whim of a billionaire, and now you don't have a football team.
I mean,
If I thought billionaires could actually do this responsibly, that'd be fine. But they cannot, and they've been
but I
proven
don't think that
not
that's
to do
like.
it.
But I guess also.
It should be for the community. It's for the community. It's not for a billionaire
Wait. What
to
are you
get
talking
a
about?
ton of
Sports is not for
tax
the
dollars.
fucking community. It's a private club. People paid for these teams. Even back then, those people paid for those teams. Period. If the city wanted a team, then they could have paid for a
Okay,
fucking
that's
team.
fine. I'm just
I don't believe in giving
okay.
over a
That's
franchise to a team just because it's a city. Like if that was the case, then any city could be bought into the league anywhere. I don't like. There's just things that I don't know. I hear your point, but I think it's one
it
of
would be
those things
structured
where
like
it's sports is private. Like all like sports is private. I don't like we public sports we do have. It's called college.
guess.
Yeah, and it's like a business now
Did
too
you?
with
Did you?
NIL. Like that's their business.
Okay. Let's move on. Did you see Nick Saban
Okay.
actually gave? Yeah, well, we got to try to do a fun podcast here. I get your point, but I'm saying something that's fucking relevant to this. Nick Saban spoke in front of Congress like two weeks ago, and so he essentially retired because now he can't recruit the way he wanted to. So now that they actually have to kind of pay players and shit, it actually evened the playing field for a lot of schools. So he's obviously against it, even though he was making $12 million a year or whatever, $15 million a year. That's essentially why he quit, because now he can't. A lot of these coaches won't be able to recruit as they did, in years past. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's a business. They're making it into a business because it's capitalism. What do you want me to say? It's capitalism.
Well, and the players should get paid, So, I mean, it's not.
But I think, but also like, yeah, but it's complicated though. It's very, very complicated though. It's very, very complicated. They should not.
It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. It's actually very simple.
Well, that's your opinion. And my opinion is it is complicated. I was gonna elaborate, but I don't have to.
Yeah, well, don't say it. I mean, you don't have to get interrupted. But I mean, just go with your thing, dude. I just said one line. Just continue talking, please.
I was trying. You were cutting me off to say it's not complicated. So okay, it's not complicated. I was literally just thinking, but I couldn't. You just kept yelling at me. It's not complicated. So I can't. I'm done.
One line.
To the next thing.
Yeah, it's very simple. What do you think? Who do you think is going to buy TikTok?
Oh man. I'll tell you if you promise not to yell at me.
Dude, we have to make an interesting podcast here, dude. So let's just.
Yeah, we do. Jesus. And we're also going to respect each other like two grown-ass men, or we won't do a fucking interesting podcast, is the point. You could make it funny and make money without disrespecting me. I'm sure you can. TikTok, I don't know.
Who do you think's going to buy TikTok?
As far as TikTok goes.
What?
Oh. We're on the delay. You got to give me a second. That's a part of the
I know. You cut out for a second. So anyway, sorry.
So as far as TikTok goes, I don't know that is necessarily gonna be. I think they're just gonna get banned. I don't think they're gonna sell it.
So you don't. So you think TikTok? So ByteDance will just be like, okay, we'll just shut down the app. It won't be shut down. You just won't be able to buy it on Google, or you won't be able to download the app in America.
Right.
Well, without, I guess you probably could.
And it started out as
it won't be easy to.
Right. And but this isn't the only market that they have. Also, the terms that they were given is kind of like, I guess you could adhere to that, but it's not, they don't really seem like they want to. I think they walk from the market. I think probably, just my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, the rumors going around is that it might be worth like $700 billion, so.
To who though?
That's a lot of money to walk away from.
But I haven't read anything that says that they're even having conversations about selling it though. I thought, as far as I understand, it's not like there was a request, but I haven't heard anything else.
No, I don't know what ByteDance is talking about, or I don't know what they're doing. But like the rumors in DC, at least, is that investors think Mnuchin's trying to raise money. There's a bunch of people that want to buy TikTok, and it looks like what I've read from that is that they seem to think that they're going to have to raise about $700 billion.
Yeah, but again, just because people want to buy TikTok doesn't mean they're going to sell it or even think about selling it. Of course there is, once you start getting on that, now you're on speculation. And of course they got the interest, the concerted interest. I'm sorry. Of course they have the interest it's in their best interest to drive up that and get them thinking, of course, yeah, like 700, make it more, make it 8, make it 9, make it interesting to open the conversation. Capitalism tactics to start a conversation that nobody was talking about having before.
Well, there was talk about it a couple years. Remember, Trump wanted to ban TikTok a couple years ago. There was talks about it then.
No, but I mean, like,
think,
these people never like express interest in selling. Like, yes, there's talks about it, like, because capitalists buy more things. Like, there's always going to be talks about it. Like,
okay, I understand. Okay, yeah, but they it looks like by the time this vote to ban TikTok, or it's essentially a forced selling ban or a forced selling bill, it came out of 50-0 out of committee. I mean, so it's bipartisan. It's either going to be TikTok's no longer around, or they're sold. And I think the deadline, I guess it still has to go through the Senate, doesn't it?
but that's
I think
why
what they had in the initial proposal, I think, is a decision by like May 25th.
No, I
And
understand
then the buying
that.
and then the process of selling it is going to take like a year or two, you know. But a decision.
That's what. But
May
I
25th.
get that, which is why I said what I said, which is like I think it's going to be banned because of the reasons you just. That's why I said what I said, because all there is a mandate. But
Okay, I heard what you said. But so you think ByteDance? So you think TikTok's going to be banned? I think it's going to be sold, but you think it's going to be banned?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's very possible because, I mean, I think it's going to be sold, but I think it's also very possible that you're right because if the Chinese government just like tells ByteDance, being like, yeah, just do, it'll still be up, and then Google and Apple ban it from the App Store here. It's still in the rest of the world. It's not. I mean, that's why it's worth $700 billion. It's just not the U.S. market. So yeah, I mean, can TikTok just be fine? I mean, China won't give a fuck. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I mean, maybe you're right. Actually, maybe you're right. I guess we'll find out. It'll be just in a couple months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way, I think John Cena had his hair did. He definitely had some plugs put in.
Probably he's old.
Definitely had some. Dude, he's really not that much older than us. He was like, when we were watching him when he debuted, I think he was only 23. So he's probably only like 8 years older than us.
Cena. Let's see, how old is John Cena?
I bet he's 40. I'm guessing 47.
$46.
46. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
I wanted to say 46, but whatever. You know what? So the sports book at Wrigley Field just opened. I saw a thing on the news. So they built like outside Wrigley Field. I don't know when the last time you were there. If you're on Addison, it looks stupid as fuck and it takes up the whole sidewalk. I hate it. It's a big fucking rectangle building. Chicago's new architecture on these buildings are fucking terrible. They're all straight lines. It looks like shit, I think. But it takes up the whole sidewalk. It's fucking ridiculous. So the sports book was already there when I moved here, but now it just officially opened. What do you think about having like that type of gambling like on site in an arena?
They have to, because
or in a field,
lots of states
anywhere.
are already doing it, so they have to do it. They're already behind, so it's like it's carts out the gate already, basically. But that's good to catch up.
You can gamble at Dodger Stadium.
You can't gamble in California.
I don't know any other one that
you can't gamble in California. The places where you can gamble, they already have.
Oh yeah,
for example, Arizona, you go there. Phoenix, it's the FanDuel Sportsbook is there inside of the bar, so it's like just what those people are doing.
Yeah, I think the one at Wrigley, I think it's DraftKings that does that one.
it's just
that makes sense.
it's a standard add-on to the model. Like like that's what those companies want to be. Yeah.
I always find it funny. I guess it's like a whole like environment thing. Like I've never been to like a sports book thing, you know. But it's just so funny because like when I went to the Blackhawks game, whatever, a couple months ago, I mean the people in front of us were just on their phones doing live bets on their phone, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you even need? But it must just be like a social thing too, and it must be more fun. And I'm sure if there's like a bunch of other people making money, you're more likely to gamble more money. You know, I think there must be a whole like psychological thing behind this as well.
I think you can do more there than you can do on the phone, but I'm not sure about that. Like it's different rates too, I think too. But again, I'm not sure about that. Like you might be able to get better.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it'd be more. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it'd be more sophisticated type of bets you can do and all that shit.
Yeah,
and it's I could
larger
I could
quantity
see that.
of bets. You know, yeah.
I can see that. That makes sense.
So like just amplify everything you could do in an app, but in a pinch, if you just want to scratch the itch, any of these apps.
So they're obviously building. I know we talked about the casino here in Chicago like a couple weeks ago. Last week I read. So they're trying to build the Bally's over at like Chicago and Halstead.
A Bally's,
like a Bally's casino. They're the ones that won the.
You said like a Bally's Total Gym and Fitness. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Bally's?
The Bally's casino thing.
Oh, okay.
Because they won the bid or whatever, and they're kind of building it like where the old Tribune, where they used to print the newspapers and all that shit, and so it was supposed to be like a casino, then a 500 room hotel. And then like a couple weeks ago, they were like, oh, there's like water problems underneath some of that part or something. So they're like, we can't build that there. So they're just going to build a 100-room casino on top of the Bally's. It then comes out to be like, it's supposed to be like $1.2 billion to build this whole thing. I mean, they haven't started any construction. And I thought, I've been hearing about this fucking casino for years. Even when I wasn't living here, I was hearing about the fucking casino. They still only have like $315 million actually financed of the $1.2 billion. So like, it's like a whole shit show. And meanwhile, they already have a temporary casino in River North at that. I forget what it's called. It used to be like, like Mosaic something. It's like a big red building. If you walk by it, I think you'd recognize it.
But to your point, though, like I'm just thinking about that in addition with like sports and shit. Like you're like, why doesn't a city own a sports team? We could ask the same question. Why doesn't a city own the casinos? And I think that the answer to both, I think, is the same. I don't want them to because I don't want to be taxed anymore. I feel like it's an easy reason, and like I don't know what we would get from that, like the utility from that. Like but I know we'd be taxed to fucking hell for it in either way.
So they have the temporary casino open, and then it opened like last spring maybe, and then it's now been 24 hours since, and now it's open 24 hours since like I think sometime in the fall.
Because they got
it used to be the old Bloomingdale's. Anyways, so essentially they projected what the revenue was going to be, and it came in at a quarter of that. Because the whole pitch was like, it's the same thing with weed, right? It's pitched being like, okay, well, we'll legalize weed and there'll be a 30% tax or whatever. And it's like, so the city will generate this much money for their coffers. But the casino thing right now has been an absolute bust. So, I mean, a quarter of what their revenue came in. So, I mean, so the city's making like no money off this fucking.
Dude, I think the sports.
I'll have to look into that more.
I think the sports are happening the same way. Like trust, like so nobody starts going because the team's bad. So then the projections don't hit, and then it becomes worse and worse. Like, yeah, I could see that shit.
Yeah, but casino and sports team are completely different. I don't want the fucking
Agreed.
casino. I do
Agreed.
want the Cubs here. And I do want the White Sox here. You know, like I want those. I don't give a fuck about
But wanting them there
casinos and
and
sports teams.
thinking
Are
that the state could own them are two different things.
No, I think the city owns them. They do it in Germany
Or the city even. I mean, like, yeah.
You like soccer.
Yeah,
You
but
like
the
you
city,
like soccer.
yeah, but those are probably
the German league. All those cities own 51% of the team.
Okay, but I like that though.
So-
There's not complete team ownership by the city though. I like that though. That's not.
Yeah, but
I don't have a
okay,
problem
but
with
yeah,
that.
but it, okay, yeah, but I said that a little bit earlier. Just to the fact being like, okay, 51. It just means they have ownership. You
I
know,
would do that.
So the city
Okay,
has,
then I don't have a problem with that. Then I could like. I really don't have
Okay.
a problem with that. Then I don't want it to be 100%. I think that's why I was sounding as a fucking issue. 51-49. Fuck it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's how that whatever the professional German soccer league is.
I
The
got no
city's
problem
own
with that.
51%.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
think
I was looking into
100%
that.
is
That
a
was-
problem because cities aren't that well run. Like somebody's it's gonna be a problem. Like, it's gonna lead to like greed and shit. But 51-49.
Yeah, I know
Do it.
because the White Sox are always so good.
They're well then teams would never leave, right? Like if the city owned it, they're not selling this fucking team off to nobody else. Like kiss my ass, Indiana.
yeah, because it's a public asset. That's the
yeah,
idea
they would
that it's a
never sell it
public
off.
asset.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Well, I'm against that obviously as well. I'm against privatization of everything for sure. You know what's funny is so some clip came up the other day, and for whatever reason, I was like, it was like fucking 10 at night, and it reminded me of Slapshot, and I was like, I haven't seen Slapshot in years. Oh no, I was watching Naked Gun, and then I was like, what else could I watch I haven't seen forever? So Slapshot. I look it up. The only place you can stream Slapshot, the movie, is on Fox Nation. You can't
Why
get
is
on
that?
Netflix. I guess they bought the rights. I don't know. Like, how is it not on like
Amazon.
I have like 3 other fucking.
It should literally be on
You can
Amazon.
buy it
for
on
like $3.
You
Yeah.
you could buy it on Amazon, but like, how is Slapshot the only streaming service that has Slapshot? Is
I mean that
fucking
makes
Fox
sense.
Nation?
I guess that makes sense. I mean,
Is it a conservative movie now?
Ask
I think
Tyrus,
they did.
the NWA champion, former champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care about his like political opinions at all.
No.
And he had the
I
worst
really have,
run
like-
I've ever even heard of. Like,
You weren't a big fan of the Funkadactyls or whatever? Funkadelics?
oh hell no! But I mean, in particular, this last NWA run, that's got to be some of the worst shit that I've ever fast forwarded through highlights of. Like, nah, this dude can't even move, dude. Definitely not going down. Just fucking
I think he started too. He was like a bouncer in I think he was like a bouncer in LA too. That's how he got into the wrestling business.
Yeah, like a million
Like,
years
some
ago. Some
wrestlers-
wrestlers too old to be doing anything.
Well, he turned into a fucking TV career somehow. So good for him.
Yeah, awful. man. But
Do you
respect.
want to talk about ghost cities in China?
What do you got?
Well, I got a bunch of shit, but I'm trying to think of the time. You have a hard out at 9.
Really like 45, like 15 more minutes because I got to get ready for
Okay.
that.
Yeah, let's save that for another time because that's going to take more than 15 minutes.
All right.
I was thinking about I literally have like 6 more pages of fucking shit. We were talking about kind of AI last week, and you know how it affect like white collar workers versus blue collar workers. But so I was going to ask you, have you ever seen any of those like videos on YouTube where it's like a McDonald's assembly line worker? like making like some of these guys got pretty popular during COVID, where they just have like a GoPro on their chest and they just film themselves like working at fucking McDonald's.
No,
Which,
that sounds awful.
you should
No,
check that out a little. He says, "Well, they're making way more money from these YouTube videos than they are from McDonald's. I bet."
that's for damn sure. And McDonald's is actually like one of the better fast food, I guess, employers. You know, like if I understand correctly, as far as per hour wages go.
Uh, that's a good question. I mean, I
I know
imagine
they
it
have a
must be
good like
about
a
the
school
same.
assistance program. Like they do have tuition assistance and stuff like that. Like I knew a girl in Bolingbrook that was like a manager with them for several years, and she like went through like their management program, and they gave her tuition money for school. She like grew from a cashier girl to like a McDonald's corporate lady, like ride the shit that they do. So I know that they're like, if you seek, it's one of those corporations where it's like most of the people probably ain't seeking it out, but like if you want to talk about benefits, what they'll do, like they actually like not too bad for their employees.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I mean, I know Starbucks has a similar thing, but
Uh,
a lot of times it's a little bit more like, or at least with the I only know about the Starbucks one. A lot of it is also kind of bullshit though too. A lot of it's just PR shit.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, and there's like a lot of stipulations. I think they're just not like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot more complicated, I think. But that's good for her, and I don't doubt that they don't do that. I mean,
I just
obviously,
never heard of anybody like, as an example or whatever, but it was like, yeah, no, this girl's like proud about it, That's
yeah.
she
Well,
came
obviously,
up.
the McDonald's headquarters is here, so I'm actually right next to Hamburger University.
Oak,
It's
Oak,
actually
it's in Oak Brook, right? Yep.
no, it's in the West Loop now. They moved it.
Oh, really? Oh,
Maybe,
I used
yeah,
to.
they moved it there maybe 5 years ago, I think,
They used to
or
be off
4 years ago.
22nd
5 years, I
Street.
think
They
before
are
COVID.
like 2 seconds from old ADT office. I think they moved now too, but they used to be down.
Yeah,
Like
I
they
know.
were
Well,
just
I used to
right.
live over there.
Yeah, yeah. It was all right. So I worked over there for like years and years, going there every day. Yeah.
And yeah, no, it's funny because so the building's right out. It's right in the West Loop on Randolph Street. I went there. I went there once because they're supposed to have like a bigger kitchen, like with some of the items from around the world. So at the time, I knew in a couple countries they still have the big and tasty, and so I was like, oh, I'll just go there and get a big and tasty. They didn't have it. The only thing they had was like, because the McDonald's outside of America is like way better than the McDonald's here, like
They
way
all
better.
have like stuff that we can't get
Uh,
here.
no, so this McDonald's only had like so there's one in Orlando near Disney World that it does have like a ton of shit. You can get pizza, spaghetti, like they have all that
Oh,
shit.
really? Okay. But that
The only
also that
difference was at
Orlando
the
one
one,
though, that's a good test market, and it's been that way for years though.
and they had so really the only difference at the menu at the one here is like some dessert options that all look gross, but they also had onion rings, and the onion rings were pretty good, I thought.
When we used to go up to Wisconsin for football, I remember like Williams Bay, I think, and even like stopping back by Lake Geneva, somewhere over there. But that McDonald's used to always have like stuff that we didn't have. Like I remember they had mushroom burgers and onion rings. Like I vividly remember that. Like I think that was the only one in the area that I can recall had like a lot of different stuff. Where I was just like, we don't have any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen McDonald's with onion rings except for this one. Yeah, I don't remember that.
And that would have been like more than
Um,
like what 20 years ago. So I don't know. Yeah.
but it is. Maybe I should go back there. So anyway, so they didn't have the big and tasty. This is like a month after I moved here, I think, and I just ended up getting the McRib. It was still like the McRib was there, but yeah, I wasn't very impressed. Um, well, it's funny too because like it always depends where you live. Like, so the McDonald's in LA, I thought was awful. Like fast food in LA was awful. Um,
Fast food in
It's just
general.
bad because it's got to be impossible. It's got to be impossible. How are you going to work at like if you work at the Wendy's in Hollywood? And this would have been I don't know, the minimum wage might have been $15 in LA County at the time, but $15 an hour. How are you going to live in LA County? I mean, it's impossible. And then when I was living in Orlando, I lived right next to a big university, and so you just had like a lot of kids working there. They were going to school, and it was a fucking million times better. That was like probably the best McDonald's in America I've been to are the ones in Oviedo, Florida.
I haven't been to
The
McDonald's.
worst Burger Kings I've ever been to. What?
I haven't been to McDonald's probably
What was it?
years, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to McDonald's. Since I've lived in Chicago, which has been like almost a year and a half, I guess. I've probably been to McDonald's 3 times.
I probably have not been to McDonald's 3 times in 3 years. I don't think. If I wasn't gonna have fast food, probably be Wendy's, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I wish I will have a McDonald's. Yeah, but there's no Wendy's in the city, you know?
Actually, the only time
So
I have
it's,
fast
like,
food is
tougher to-
Portillo's in Riverside nowadays.
I had Portillo's yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah, you know what's funny too is I think I don't know if I guess probably I might have already fucking told you this. No, but there's a lot of Taco Bells now in the city. So like all the way up Clark, there's a Taco Bell near me. I've been there once.
That's
Tim
good.
had Tim gets Taco Bell. Tim brings Taco Bell to trivia night.
I don't have it often, but I like
it's always
it.
one of the,
It's good.
it's right across the street. It's always one of those things too. It's kind of funny because he gets like chalupas or something like that. Taco Bell's one of those things where if you're eating it, it's okay, but if you just have to smell it, it just smells fucking awful.
Did you ever see
Taco Bell does.
the guy who like ate only Taco Bell for 30 days? You ever see that on YouTube?
I saw Supersize Me with the McDonald's guy.
No, the Taco Bell one.
No, I did not.
I'll have to put it in the Google Docs there. Long story short, like first couple of weeks, I think he's just like his cholesterol went up, like hypertension or some shit like that. But then he switched to like lunch for like more of the steak bowls or whatever. And by the end of it, he was a little slimmer and he's a little healthier. And he was like, I could probably just keep doing this. He's like, there's so many choices on that menu. He's like, it's hard to get sick of some stuff. He's like, but I did have to change halfway through. Like, there's definitely a part of the menu that is less healthier, like the chalupas and all that shit. He's like, but once I went to the steak bowls and the protein bowls for lunch, he's like, yeah, he's like, I can do this. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
I can't imagine ever ordering steak from Taco Bell.
I've had that steak bowl.
Ordering
It's
steak
fine.
from Taco Bell.
Oh, I've had it. It's fine. The steak bowl, it's fine. Yeah. It's like meat. It's real meat. It's better than the taco meat. It's definitely better than the taco meat. Like they have like.
Well, the taco meat's all filler. I don't think they can legally actually call it meat. I think it's like they have to call it something else because it's like
Soy
it
protein.
has less of it. Like whatever the requirement is, like they have to call it like meat filler or something. Because there's like a bunch of I forget what it is. It's like kind of like sand that they put in it. So and that makes up like 60% of the meat. It's just like this filler sand shit. But there's no way in fucking hell I'd get steak from Taco Bell.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't even go to Taco Bell, so it doesn't even matter.
Don't knock it till you try it. I think the steak is better than whatever that filler meat is, for sure. They should bring back double deckers.
Some nice
where you could have the soft shell.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Around the crunchy shell with the refried beans in between it. That's delicious.
Oh, what? Yeah, I guess a couple weeks ago at trivia, Tim bought. They have like that new chicken empanada. God damn it!
I guess I'd try
awful.
that. Yeah, I'd try that.
Roasting me out. I mean, I guess it's deep fried, so it's probably fine. But man, did it smell fucking bad.
No, it's true about Taco Bell. It does not smell great, but Yeah, you can eat it. It's fine.
Well, I think I might get. Thinking I had a baked potato today and a salad and a protein shake. I think I'm gonna get a Lou Malnati's pizza,
Nice.
which is like $30 for a small little thing. But I mean, I don't eat that much anyways.
And it's a
But
lot of crust.
well, I get a thin. I get the thin crust.
Nice. Nice.
Thin crust is the way to go. Hey, did you ever try Fresh Brothers out there? Fresh Brothers is fucking great.
Mm-mm.
They were like Chicago guys that started up a pizza place, Fresh Brothers. I think like one of the beach towns, like Hermosa Beach or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're all over. I mean, like in the early '90s or something like that.
I think I'm following them on Instagram.
Yeah, I
I've
recommend
seen
that
it. Yeah, it looks good enough. I saw their account. I
because
was
you can
like,
get.
oh,
I get. I oh no, that's the best pizza in LA. I'd get the Works, so it's just like a supreme pizza. They call it the Works, you know.
yeah.
But then I get a side of giardiniera. So the giardiniera shit makes everything taste great, I think.
Agreed.
But yeah, and they have great salads there as well. And they used to have like meatball sliders. I'm sure they still have them. But yeah, that place is that's like the best like whatever fast like chain pizza place I've ever had. I think is Fresh Brothers.
Mhm.
So give it a shot and let me know.
Roger that.
All right. Well, this was an okay podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, have fun with your Skype meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
And
That's
yeah, I gotta like finish typing up a bunch of shit. I didn't do this morning because I was fucking too hungover. Are you good for next Tuesday?
I think so, but I'm also leaving out of town on like tomorrow too. So if I come back and there's a lot of shit at work on Monday, maybe push it a day. But right now I'd have to say yes. I'll be good on Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. Don't forget
And
to hit
okay, cool.
record.
Oh yeah.